my name is Jeff Peters, and I'm here to introduce or give you a sneak peek of Monopoly Streets, a brand new reimagined version of Monopoly coming out this Christmas from Electronic Arts. This is the 75th anniversary of Monopoly, which most people don't know, and it's the world's most beloved board game. In celebration of the 75th anniversary, we wanted to do something special, and with that, we wanted to reimagine what Monopoly is. So we did something radical with this game. And in order to reimagine it, the first thing that we did is focus on the fantasy that is Monopoly. And that fantasy is about wealth, it's about greed, it's about property acquisition, it's about building up this environment and then owning it all. So we focused on that fantasy, and we did the most radical thing known to man for this game, and that's we threw away the board. So with that, that brings us into the game itself. So as you'll see from the main menu here, we're looking at Monopoly City. This is probably what most people are used to, the classic board of Monopoly, but this is our radical approach of actually creating a living, breathing city that is Monopoly to play in. So you start the game, we'll just jump in really quick, and you'll notice right off that you have the classic tokens that everybody is familiar with, that grew up with, the top hat, the battleship, the race car driver. I'm going to choose the race car and the shoe to kick this game off. So we really wanted to focus on that classic experience we all grew up with. The loading screen will also give you tips and tricks and pop culture, lots of things about the history of Monopoly, as well as strategic tips. So for those of you that aren't quite sure which color group is the best or which is the most landed on property, actually watching the loading screens will help you be a better Monopoly player. All right, and you'll see the classic board melt away into the new environment that is indeed Monopoly City. And as you see already, it's both familiar and new. You recognize the names, you recognize the logos, but this is an actual place.
Who's ready for some fun? Playing Monopoly.
So Mr. Monopoly is your MC.
Going to be the fat cat.
And he will guide you through the entire game. He will also provide inspiration, he will provide logic, strategic tips, and he will heckle you at every opportunity. So over 1,100 lines of Mr. Monopoly dialogue in here, so it's always fresh. You'll also notice with the classic tokens that there is now a character standing next to them. So for the first time in Monopoly's history, you have a character associated with the token. So for example, the race car has the race car driver that actually hops in it and drives it through the streets of Monopoly. The little girl associated with the classic shoe, because it's so big, she actually jumps in the shoe and hops down the street. But you'll see that in a moment. So first to the roll-off. Oh, a 3. All right, now the shoe. So she goes first. So just like the board game, you are starting on Go, as you see the Go in the background, although Go is now a physical location. Think of it as a corner property, if you will. And just to get things in gear, so she's going to roll the dice, gets a 10, and she will jump in the shoe and head down the street. You see the for sale signs of properties that aren't yet owned yet or developed, and as well as other Monopoly iconography like the jail logo. So you are now just visiting jail. And that ends the first turn. Each character has their own unique personality and sound bites and reactions and everything that happens in the game, positive or negative, your characters will also demonstrate to you. Before you roll, if you want to have a strategic point of view, you can pull up the map. So the city is laid out just like the classic board, so you get a feeling of, okay, the blocks and the color groups and everything are located just as I remember them. You can also look down the street by doing the street preview mode and actually going from location to space to space. So here's Reading Railroad and Oriental Avenue that's for sale, Chance, etc., etc. Every classic property is now realized as a 3D environment or a 3D object, building, space, etc. See if he does any better. He gets doubles. Excellent. So he gets happy, jumps in the car, heads down the street. So he's going down the street. You can see there are people walking on the street. Those are avatars from your friends list. In fact, if you wanted to, you could actually replace the race car driver or any character with an avatar. So you can use your own avatars in the game. A new addition that we have made to Monopoly is we have updated the classic auction system. So when you land on a property, you can either buy it outright or you can go to a bank auction. The main difference here being everybody participates at the same time. There's no waiting for bid, counter bid, and the long-term process that is. So now, let's go to the auction. And both players are able to come out and bid at the same time. You got a timer going, auctioneer going off in the background, and basically trying to feel each other out of, okay, who's willing to pay more for this property? And you see the value up on the side. Oh! Race car 1. Then you see Electric Avenue, or the electric company, come to life once you buy it. One of the neat things about that auction system is because it's real time, not only do you get to feel each other out, but you can actually broadcast that you're going to overpay for the property and then quickly back off and stick somebody with it. And when you get 4 people playing, that's actually a whole lot of fun.
You got doubles on your dice.
So I get to go again, since I got doubles. At the beginning of any turn, remember you can pull up the map, which acts as your radar, shows you where the other players are and the status of each property. Or you could look down the street again and look at what's coming up. When you do the street preview mode, you'll also notice that there is a number in the upper left-hand corner, and that tells you what the roll of the dice would be in order to land there. So for example, if I didn't want to land on St. James Place, I would know, oh, I shouldn't roll a 4. See where he ends up now, 6. You'll see the fast forward appear at just about every event. If you really want to have an extremely fast game of Monopoly, you're able to fast forward through pretty much anything. I'll buy this property. So if I really wanted to speed up the game, I could go to the pause menu, pull up options, and turn skip movement to on. That would then speed everything up. You wouldn't have to wait for anything. But because they're so entertaining to watch, we're not going to do that. As you're moving through the world, each of the houses and hotels and color groups have a different rent, purchase, and purchase price to the value of it. So what we've done with the houses and hotels is they're no longer plastic red and green icons, but they are actual physical houses and hotels that you build within the city. You start with the game everything flat, and by the end of the game you've physically built everything up. The houses and hotels are designed so that they look and feel different based on the value of the property and the rent assigned for it. So for example, the brown and light blue color groups will be the cheaper looking or the smaller hotels, whereas Boardwalk and Park Place will be the most opulent, and when you're coming down that street, physically the most scary.